Doll Day friends. This is Michael Canadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and the Carmel Doll Shop. We are back at the Susan and Lou Nunez collection, and I want to show you something that we've shown you before in a video. It was a video montage with music, but there was no explanation given. So we thought that this is the perfect time to share with you some of the treasures in the Nunez collection. There are many, many tableaus, room settings, if you like, in this collection. And you can see Susan and Lou's feeling for collecting the decorative arts. Decorative arts are paintings, furniture, sculptures, that kind of thing. And they have an amazing miniature collection of decorative arts. But I think in this particular room is some of their best pieces. So I'm going to discuss the pieces, and I'm also going to discuss the dolls. So I'm going to open this cabinet, and I think we're going to start with the most important piece of all in this room setting, which is this 18th century bed. And I'm going to move this incredible lady out of the way. She just dropped her flowers, but we'll pick those up. But I wanted you to have the full view of this amazing 18th century bed. It's meant to be, it could literally go into the center of the room or off to a wall, but it's a four-poster bed with a beautiful coronet that is all decorated with cherubim, beads, all done in wood, then covered with gesso and then gilded, and then topped on top with a plume. And it is amazing. It's not the original covering because this is a over 250-year-old, at the minimum, 250-year-old piece. So for it to have the original covering would be highly unusual. But it is a historic fabric that you will find at the Chateau or the Palace of Fontainebleau. And this is a very famous Lyon silk. But look at all of the beadwork and the carvings. It really is a masterpiece. And if my camera person can get in here, you can see that not only is it upholstered on the inside, it's also on the backs and the sides. So this is really an exceptional piece of furniture. And I think that it's probably one of the oldest pieces in the Nunez collection. And while we've got this space opened up, you can see we've got what I would call a grandeur piece of Marie Antoinette, and it's probably done on enamel, but it's not of the period. It's a period of people going on tour and seeing and collecting wonderful things, because in the 19th century, everyone was interested in things from the 18th century. Now I'm going to push back this lady into her proper place, and I might as well give you a little talk about her, which this is a poupée statuette, also known as Radiquet and Cardonnier. And this is the great-great-great-great-grandmother of Barbie. And in this session of World Doll Day, we do a program and we talk about the first Barbie. And these two ladies have a lot in common. Now I will point out the hands. Some collectors will say that those are overscaled hands on the poupée statuette, but in actuality, they are perfectly scaled. Other dolls have small hands that are too small, because if you do this in anatomy, normally your hands and your face are the same size, and most dolls have very small, delicate hands. And I should point out the costume. It's of about the 1880s period, and it's an exceptional condition. And these were expensive dolls, so they had very good clothing. And might as well go to this one next, which is a doll that we're showing from behind because it's the natural silhouette. And again, it's a Barrois doll on a wooden articulated body. But this costume, I think, personally for me, it's just out of this world, the workmanship and the combinations of, you know, the not quite piping, but the similar to piping, trim, tape into the seams and how that was utilized. And this very interesting lace and this trim that I think is just to die for. And by the way, I'm using one of the men's walking stick as a pointer, and I think that's helpful to our cameraman. And then I think that there's lots of great art in the Nunez collection, but I think within the doll cases, I think that the really greatest piece is this 17th century portrait in miniature, and I believe it's painted on metal. And I would date this about probably 1685, so this is very, very early with the original frame. And if memory serves, I think it's a pair. So there's another piece in one of her other tableaus. And then, of course, they're lovers of the decorative arts. So you have some French porcelains in the chinoiserie taste here that are mounted with some nice armalou mounts, very, very charming pieces. And then an 18th century maiden in the center. And then a beautiful chest of drawers with the original lock and key, which I find very hard to get. Now we're going to hop over and we're going to skip over these two magnificent dolls because there's another video in our catalog and we've talked about these two. So we're going to just skip over them even though they're magnificent and talk about the art. So look at the frame up here on this piece. It is just outstanding. We've got the Pooties holding a wreath of flowers, and it looks like we've got probably a painting on, I don't want to say ivory, but probably some natural material similar to ivory of the Stuart children, and that's very lovely. And then this case in the back, this vitrine, is really outstanding. I've seen others of this type, but this is the largest deluxe version. And Susan and Lou have put all kinds of trinkets in there that mean something to them. Some of them are family pieces. So over here on this wall, there is a beautiful pastoral scene on reversed glass that's outstanding, and then beautiful original frame. And then I know that Susan's sister, who was an antiquarian, found her these marvelous candelabra to go on each side of it with another sculpture in the center. And then a fireplace with a fabulous insert. And I just worship this marble. It's very unusual. And then I think that there's probably a couple hundred miniature clocks in the Nunez collection. And this is a really fun one with a maiden dangling the clock. And again, another great Gainsborough style miniature portrait above. And then I think the last thing I would like to talk about is, or the next to last thing to talk about, is this amazing center table with an amazing drink set with all cranberry glass and ormolu holders, and all 6 of them are still here, which I find to be exceptional. And this is an actually working pot that you could work if you wanted to. But I also want to point out before we close this session, look at this wallpaper. It's just lovely. It has the right amount of gold that in a way is neutral, yet she's picked up the blue in the bed, because the bed is the center of this room. And just the little detail of the crown molding with a little spot of gold, not too much, just enough. And then of course the Nunez collection, I think that there are more miniature chandeliers in this collection than there are in the rest of the world. And that's what you get when you're devoted to collecting. So I hope you enjoyed this little inspirational tableau. This doesn't happen in a minute. It takes time to collect up these kinds of things, but I think it's very gratifying and enjoyable. And I feel that I am whisked away into another time and another place. And I guess it's time for me to give this fabulous gentleman back his walking stick. It's been very helpful to me. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye, doll friends.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.